I live in a small hut on the east side of Las Vegas. My name is Kevin Jubbal. I'm 31 years old. I believe in taking care of myself and getting in touch with my emotional side. In the morning, if my face is a little puffy, I'll gently apply the tears of pre-meds who failed to get into medical school to my face. They should have known better than to not follow my advice. As I prepare the finest imported tea from the Alishan Mountains of Taiwan, I wear my surgical cap and loupes for maximal precision. It makes for the perfect balance of flavors and reminds me that I am a massive failure for quitting a promising career in plastic surgery. Reality is complex. Complexity is unending. Infinite is plastic. Plastic surgery is life. My name's Kevin Jubbal, physician entrepreneur based in Las Vegas, and this is a day in my life. I like to start my mornings with a workout. It's just a good way to get some positive momentum, start the day with a win, and today is leg day. Starting off the mornings with a workout is just the best way to start the day. And I've experimented a lot working out in the afternoons versus in the mornings. And I definitely prefer this. Leg day, kind of love-hate, but now it's time to go home, have a protein shake, lock in those gains, take a shower, and get to work. For those who don't know, I actually quit plastic surgery residency a few years back. And the reason was because I started some medical education companies. So these days, some people think that I'm primarily a YouTuber, but YouTube takes far less than 50% of my time. The majority of my time, day to day, is actually spent on building my two main businesses, one of which is Med School Insiders. We have a YouTube channel as well as a website. And the second one is MEM, which is an MCAT study tool. So both are focused on medical education, and that's how I spend most of my days. So day to day, it's not all that exciting. There's a lot of computer work, a lot of Zoom meetings, phone calls, things like that, because both companies have thousands of customers every single year, so we get pretty busy. But the way I approach my day is to optimize based on my energy state. So I'm both a morning and an evening person. I have a slump in the afternoon. So I do my most mentally challenging and demanding work early in the morning, right now. And then in the afternoons, I'll do something that's less challenging, maybe some kind of admin tasks or cleaning up the house, that kind of thing. And then in the evenings, that's when I tend to do my most creative work on video scripts and things like that. Now, big shout out to iRestore, who is sponsoring this video. So hair loss affects both men and women. I actually saw a clip of myself a couple months ago when I did my 72-hour water-only fast video. And I noticed there was a lot of scalp showing, and I got alarmed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm balding pretty rapidly. So I did a deep dive, did a lot of research as to what the various options were, and a lot of people, a lot of guys at least, will choose oral finasteride. But when you view that through a cost-benefit analysis, it doesn't seem like an optimal choice to be changing your systemic hormone levels just to save your hair. So I settled on 2 hormone therapies as well as a low-light laser therapy device, specifically the iRestore. Now, I actually bought the iRestore with my own money several months ago, was using it for some period of time, and I liked it so much that I reached out to iRestore and said, hey guys, let's work together. That's why we're here today. The way I use it is 25 minutes every other day, and it's hands-free, not on the way, so I can get my work done, I can go downstairs, make some tea, do whatever I need to do. The way low-light laser therapy works is that it actually stimulates hair growth, and some people incorrectly assume that it's not effective, but it actually, based on the literature, is definitely effective, especially when you combine it with other therapies, which is why I've been using it. Now, I chose iRestore because they're the only device on the market with 282 LEDs and lasers, and they also hold it a little bit away from your scalp. So some other companies, they have like caps, and because it's right up against your scalp, you have hot spots and cold spots. But with this design, you get more even coverage throughout your entire scalp. This is an FDA-cleared, clinically proven device that is non-invasive, hands-free, and easy to use. Results may vary, but I love that iRestore stands behind their product with a 12-month money-back guarantee. When I first bought mine, I thought it was kind of pricey, but then I realized that for my topical treatments, I'm paying 80 bucks every single month, and that adds up quick. But this is a one-time purchase and it lasts years. So when you amortize it, it actually makes a lot of sense. Even more so today, because iRestore is offering you guys, my viewers, $400 off using the coupon code linked in the description below. I hope you guys find it useful. A lot of people ask me about productivity and efficiency because I'm running 3 YouTube channels that make 4.5 videos a week and then 2 separate businesses. And a lot of it comes down to just being very mindful of how you spend your time. So when I am working at the computer, I am 100% super focused, intense, and when that focus starts waning, I do something else because I don't want to be wasting time trying to get something done, right? Another big part of that comes down to killing 2 birds with 1 stone when you can. So I have a business phone call coming up right now. Don't do this with Zoom calls, obviously, but when it's just a phone call, I can stay focused on that call while getting my mobility work in throughout the day. So that helps me get a lot more done in a lot less time. Now, in terms of my actual workout routine, I lift Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I go to the gym, do my bench, overhead press, squats, and deadlifts, kind of more powerlifting fundamentals. And then on Wednesdays and either Saturdays or Sundays, I'll do some cardio in the form of cycling, either early in the morning, because Vegas tends to get pretty hot, or here on my indoor trainer. And every day I try to do some mobility work as well. So today I'm doing it with some phone calls. I'll sometimes do it at night as well. And that's separate from just my morning stretching. And it's just really important to reduce the risk of injury and just feels good. So if you'll excuse me, I gotta take this call. I've done a lot of experimentation with my diet, constantly tweaking, constantly adjusting things. And I used to just eat around 11, this kind of similar meal, and my cholesterol was really high. So I now do a lot of egg whites. I do 4 egg whites and 1 whole egg rather than 4 whole eggs, which is what I used to do. But by experimenting with my diet, I feel a lot better. I have a lot more energy. I don't get as much of a slump. Part of that is by understanding carbohydrates and how they affect me. I use a continuous glucose monitor every single day. By doing that, I don't get nearly as bad of a food coma. So my breakfast is usually just eggs with some veggies, some kimchi, and berries or bananas as carbs. So pro tip, garlic, anti-inflammatory. I like to include it every single day. But rather than peeling garlic, what I do is I throw it in a blender and then I freeze these little ice cube trays with garlic inside, all minced up, and I just toss it in and boom, off to the races. So normally, soon after I have my lunch, this is when my ability to intensely focus starts to wane. So I'm not gonna go back to my computer and try to do intense work because it's futile. So what I do instead is I do things that are lower mental energy, right? Things like groceries, various errands, working on my car, because I go to the racetrack pretty often, or even tidying up the house and doing things like working on interior design and decorating. So my home feels more like a home. Time to get some groceries from my local Sprouts. And just like me, try to keep my food organic, grass-fed, free range, all the good healthy stuff. Here we go. Love me some sardines. All I need to be happy in this world, sardines and kimchi. Let me show you what I got on the sprout solve. So we got organic bananas. We got only 1 can of sardines because I'm always on the hunt for the best sardines. So trying these ones out before I buy more. We got some mushrooms and a whole lot of berries. We got some blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, all organic, grass-fed, free range, and some tomatoes. I like these with my breakfast actually, they taste really good. And that's it. Let's get back home. So I do track my car pretty frequently, and what happens when you push your car to the limit is things break. So my rotor, from the intense heat of several track days and several hot laps, it got warped. So I get like a pulsating thing when I brake. So I'm gonna be replacing it right now. And if you guys haven't already, you should totally check out my channel, Jubbal and Cars, brand new YouTube channel where I cover track days, car reviews. It's me a little bit more unfiltered, having a good time in cars. So check it out. But in the meantime, I'm gonna replace this. These boys are getting kind of crispy. They're getting, you can see there's not really even wear, kind of crumbly. I'm going ham on my brakes and on my car overall at the racetrack, but so you gotta do it, man. Life's too short to baby your car. The old one comes off, just like that. This has been used and abused. Pro tip, if you're a YouTuber and you got oily skin, you got one of these. Makes you look less shiny. What's going on, guys? Today, we're doing another episode of Why I Didn't. In this series, I tell you why I did not pursue a particular specialty. The mostly useless series where I tell you why I did not choose a particular specialty. In today's episode, we're covering pathology. That's a wrap. Most of my YouTube videos, by the way, business up top, party down low. That's how I normally do. Now, when I'm recording YouTube videos, some days I'll just do one when inspiration strikes, like today, where it's just one video, quick thing, I'm done. And other times I batch it. It all depends on how I feel, because I feel like creating YouTube videos is much more of a creative endeavor, and it's less about like optimizing the productivity. It's more about tapping into it when you feel like you want to tap into it, because the video just flows a lot better, it's easier, it's more fun. And a part of that too is actually reducing friction. So what I've done in my old place, I used to record in my living room. So then setting up all these lights and cameras and tripods and audio and stuff, and then tearing down every time, huge pain in the butt. So when I moved to this new house, a big priority was actually reducing the friction so that whenever I felt inspired, I could just go downstairs, turn on some lights and hit record and be ready to go. So the whole idea of reducing friction of your desired behaviors is something I very much believe in. Yo, that brake job did the trick. So I was getting this pulsating feeling because if the rotor is warped, it's gonna catch more at one part of the revolution. And now it is so much smoother. So that did the trick. And now it's dinner time. I will cook at home occasionally, like once or twice a week. But most nights I go out and grab some takeout. A couple spots nearby that I frequent. My priority is more so healthy rather than tasty or like Instagram worthy or whatever. I can save those meals for when a friend is visiting or when I want to do something special on the weekends. But most days it's like, let me get some vegetables, some lean meats, something that's not gonna spike my blood sugar too high. So today, that means hummus bowl, one of my favorites. One of the underappreciated things about entrepreneurship is how you have total control over your schedule. There's a big price you pay because of like, you're constantly working more or less. But the first couple of years, it felt weird where I could go and get dinner at 7 o'clock because that's when I want to eat. Whereas in residency, it's like, sometimes you get out at 9 or 10 and you can't eat until 10 or 11, messing with your whole sleep. So. been really obsessed with this idea of flywheels recently and how flywheels are so powerful in our lives. So most obviously with diet, right? The flywheel, the hard part is getting started. So flywheel is, it's a wheel it's very heavy, conserves angular momentum. So once you get it spinning, it keeps going a little bit more naturally. But the hard part is getting it up to speed. Once it's up to speed, it keeps going quickly and easily. So with diet, there's a lot of resistance at the beginning in eating healthy. But once you can break through that initial resistance of a couple weeks, couple months of like, oh man, I'm so tempted by In-N-Out or burgers or pizza, then eating healthy, eating these foods just becomes natural and you don't feel like you're depriving yourself of anything. This to me is like, I crave this stuff now and I feel better as a result. High quality ingredients, minimally processed, it's awesome. But the flywheel applies to other areas in life. So same with productivity. It was only after pushing through that resistance in medical school that I was able to elevate what I can achieve on a consistent basis without burning out. So even now, after med school, I can tap into that and work a lot harder and intensely and 7 days a week at times for weeks on end. Not as what I want to do all the time, but maybe you're working on a project and you kind of have to. Perhaps the most powerful one is actually with your perception, because reality, I don't mean to get super philosophical here, but reality is much more in our perception of events than in the events themselves, if that makes sense. So if I view my life through the lens of being a victim and things are happening to me and I'm at the effect rather than at the cause of a lot of things in my life, then I don't have agency and things are happening to me. I'm like, I go out on the street and someone cuts me off. Oh my God, like I'm a victim here, right? And people don't realize this, but this is one of the most powerful factors in how you actually live your life. If you view things through an optimistic lens, then guess what? Good things are gonna start happening to you. Once you get that flywheel going. So like when I'm in a good mood and I go out to the restaurants, I go out and meet friends, I just living my life, that positivity is infectious and better things start happening at each location, at each instant. It just builds on itself. And that flywheel gets stronger and stronger and more powerful. Anyways, enough of that philosophical rambly. That's some good food. And that is a day in the life of Kevin Jubbal. So most days are kind of boring, right? I wake up, I go to the gym, and then the rest of the day I'm either working or eating, handling meetings, stuff like that. And I actually work 7 days a week. That's kind of part of being an entrepreneur, at least in the early stages. But it's not so bad. I'm building 2 companies, running 3 YouTube channels. It's a lot of fun. But what has made it more sustainable is I make it a point to take 3 or 4 evenings off per week to hang out with friends, relax, unwind, meet new people, stuff like that. But since I'm often in work mode and it's often amped up, I come here at the end of the day, I read some fiction. This is a new series I'm enjoying. Because fiction gets me out of that work mode, helps distract my brain, I guess. And then I can shower, sleep, call it a night. Some advice for the younger viewers. Number 1 is understanding the importance of patience. So I'm a very impatient person. That's why I went into surgery, right? But the results you want in life, whether that's going to the gym or with your business or your academics, you can't necessarily expect it to happen in just 6 months or 1 year or whatever. You generally need to keep at it for a long period of time. The second thing is you have to learn to do these things, which requires patience. You need to maintain a high level of grind and sustain that. And there is a way to do so enjoyably. It doesn't have to be a miserable process. One of the small tools that I use here is even just tapping into my energy state and being very attuned to that. Most late afternoons, 4 or 5 o'clock, I have a little bit of slump in my energy and I can't really focus and get as much meaningful work done. So I'll go do laundry or chores or organize the house and still be productive in those moments. The third thing is don't hold onto your identities too strongly, because especially as we get older, we tend to think of ourselves as only a computer scientist or only a YouTuber or only a doctor or whatever it is. And we limit ourselves as to what else we can explore in life. So be very careful about that. Don't hold any identity too strongly, especially politics, because then you don't even think for yourself. You just adopt what the rest of the group is saying is the right thing. And the last thing is don't see things as black and white, good or bad. So I'm very proud of my productivity, right? But I don't see it as only a good thing. There's actually a downside to it, which is that it took me a lot longer to delegate and to scale my company in the right ways because I was overly reliant on my own personal productivity, because I felt like, hey, I can just work harder, I can get more things done. And maybe if I was less productive, I would have delegated sooner. So one question I get asked a lot is whether or not I regret quitting plastic surgery residency. And the short answer is no. There are times when I miss it. I do miss the operating room. I miss getting in flow when you're challenged just right and you're working with your hands. I love that state. The only other thing that I can find that gets me into that state is going to the racetrack with my car, which is why I do that so often. But no, I don't regret it. I mean, there are pros and cons to entrepreneurship. I've definitely had periods where I'm working much harder than in residency at the early stages of building my companies. And there are times when it's much more stressful actually, but there are a lot of upsides too, like the flexibility and like you are really in control. And I like that. Now, if you guys will excuse me, it's time for me to read my fiction and call it a night. So please get the hell out of my house. Have a good one, guys. See you in the next one.